After my first encounter, everything changed. After my encounter with the unspoken names, I began to notice the changes. Not in the world around me. At least, not at first. The changes were in myself. Small things at first. Memories that didn't belong to me began appearing in my mind. I would suddenly know things I had never learned, names of people I'd never met, locations I'd never visited, events I'd never witnessed. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Then I realized the truth was far worse. The unspoken names had marked me. During those hours in an abandoned radio station, something had been transferred between us. They had given me pieces of themselves, fragments of consciousness that had accumulated over millennia of feeding on human memory. And in return, they had taken pieces of me. I could feel the gaps where my own memories should be, childhood events, faces of friends, moments that had defined who I was, all fading, replaced by something else entirely. I tried to document what was happening. Every morning, I would wake up and immediately write down everything I could remember from the day before. It was an exercise in futility. The memories I recorded were no longer mine. I was becoming an archivist of someone else's existence, a vessel for consciousnesses that had long since lost their original forms. The physical changes came next. My reflection in mirrors began to shift, sometimes showing a face I didn't recognize. My voice would occasionally change mid-sentence, speaking words in languages I had never learned. And the dreams were the worst. Every night, I would experience lifetimes that weren't mine. I would live as people from centuries past, from places that no longer existed, experiencing their deaths, their fears, their final moments of terror. I sought help. Doctors, therapists, spiritual advisors, anyone who might have answers. Most dismissed me as delusional. A few listened with growing horror as I described the unspoken names and what they were. Those few usually ended our sessions abruptly, referring me to colleagues who never returned my calls. One psychiatrist, after hearing my account, simply stood up, walked to his window, and whispered something I couldn't quite hear. He never spoke to me again. 6 weeks after my initial encounter, I received a package at my apartment. No return address, no postage marks. Inside was a journal, one of the journals I had found in an abandoned radio station. But this one was different. It contained coordinates, names, and dates. A pattern emerged as I studied it. The unspoken names wasn't random in their selection. They were building something. A network of connected consciousness, spreading across the world like a web of shared memory. And I was now part of that network. I could feel the others sometimes. Sensations that weren't my own would wash over me. Fear from someone in a different country. Recognition from someone I had never met. Grief from a mind that had been absorbed centuries ago. The boundaries between myself and them were dissolving. Every day, I became less me and more us. The most disturbing part wasn't losing myself. It was gaining others. I now possessed memories of murders I hadn't committed, of loves I hadn't experienced, of children I had never raised who had grown old and died before I was even born. The weight of countless lives pressed against my consciousness, threatening to crush what remained of the person I used to be. I discovered I could access skills I had never learned. I could speak languages I had never studied. I could play instruments I had never touched. But each new ability came with a cost. A memory of my own would fade, replaced by someone else's experience. I was becoming a mosaic of stolen moments, a gallery of other people's lives. The network showed me things I was never meant to see. I witnessed historical events through the eyes of those who had been there and been forgotten. I saw the fall of civilizations through the memories of ordinary people whose names had been erased from history. I experienced the terror of countless souls as they realized they were being absorbed, their individuality dissolving into the collective. And through it all, the unspoken names watched, not with malice, but with a desperate hunger. They needed more memories to sustain themselves, more consciousness to prevent their own dissolution into nothing. Every person who forgot them weakened them. Every person who remembered strengthened them. They existed in a perpetual state of hunger, unable to stop feeding without ceasing to exist. Store number 719,604. The transformation continues. There is more I must tell you.